Did this small Canadian horror film reveal the origin of all horror movie monsters? Not just the worst hell ever, but the nexus point for every single creature, eldritch beings, abominations, and monsters, gods, all of which you know of in popular horror movie franchises all go back to this place. I believe that 8 horror franchises are connected by this one dimension shown in this one movie. A movie known as The Void, about a hospital that seems to be surrounded by this cult of people wearing these hoods with black triangles on them. And all these mysterious, weird, disgusting, scary mutations are happening to different human beings who have died in the hospital. And it all leads back to one man, a doctor, a scientist, who has seemingly made a deal with a being from another dimension to bring his daughter back from death. And in opening this dimension, we get our glimpse at a realm where the most unspeakable horrors exist. When time comes and the being gives him what he wants, when the being has one of the women in the hospital impregnated with this guy's daughter who's being reborn from death, guess what happens to his daughter? Guess what his daughter turns into? Guess what is born from this woman? This! Known as the Sarah creature, a mutant creature that moves like a gorilla with no legs and is subjected to the worst existence ever. There is a human soul within this body. That's what we're dealing with. That's the level of mutation that we're dealing with here. And it all leads back to this one dimension that's causing all these mutations. And our 2 main characters are stuck in this dimension at the end of the movie. And we don't know what happens to them. We don't know what they see. It is simply a realm of incomprehensible horror. And who knows what creatures may lie in this. I believe this connects all horror movies together. And I'm about to show you how. I do a lot of cocaine, okay? But this might be one of the most linear, logical theories I've ever made. If this film exposes us to eldritch beings, a god from another dimension that's doing all this, reality distortion, and transformation of the physical flesh, okay? These are all things that are shown in various horror movie franchises. I believe that this is a dimension between worlds and between timelines. And this dimension connects it, The Mist, Hellraiser, Stranger Things, The Thing, Cloverfield, Alien, Event Horizon. All horror movies and horror IPs that focus on other dimensions, I believe they all lead here. I believe the Void, in the movie The Void, is the Todash space from Stephen King's universe. If you don't know, the Todash space is a space, a liminal, incomprehensible plane between worlds, between timelines, that beings like Pennywise have escaped from. It has a lot of Lovecraftian creatures in it. Here's a quick summary of what this place is. It represents a terrifying infinite void between dimensions that is dark, chaotic, filled with monsters and nightmares. It's dangerous liminal space through which interdimensional travel occurs. That pretty much summarizes the damn Void. Here's how I believe the Void, this space, works. And this will explain all the connections to all the horror movies. It leaves traces of its essence through these 5 ways. Organic, formless, almost parasitic traces that can latch on to people, that can cause various different effects and mutate people. Radiation or energy-based beings, like certain demons that you know of. Monsters, big or small monsters, these just weird creatures that can kill you. Servants or high priests that serve the god directly, or the gods themselves. These are the remnants of this void. Now we get to the energy-based beings. Beings that are manifested from the radiation belonging to the void, belonging to the Todash space. One form of that radiation is the Deadlights, otherwise known as Pennywise's true form. Pennywise is a creature that comes from the Todash space in Stephen King's universe. His true form is the Deadlights. Okay? It can be said that he is a being that's a manifestation of the radiation from this space. Monsters. They come in all shapes and sizes. The Mist shows a bunch of monsters that came here from a dimension that the Arrowhead Project opened up, right? Stranger Things. You have a bunch of monsters from Stranger Things, including the Demigorgons, for example, that come from a different dimension. Cloverfield, again, interdimensional monsters that came here due to some kind of interdimensional breach that we caused. And this thing rose from the ocean. Servants that are no longer human. There's a lot of them in the horror franchises. There's this guy, the scientist, who's trying to make the deal with the creature in the void. We have Vecna from Stranger Things, a dude who's been dilapidated but given powers by the Mind Flayer. The Cenobites, literally dilapidated humans that once reached a point where they were ready to be servants to the god of the flesh. Event Horizon. Sam Neill's character becomes dilapidated, is given some kind of powers, and once again becomes a servant to this realm. And then you have the formless organic resin that I spoke about. Formless organic resin that can act as parasites, they can act as a mutation vessel. Organic resin itself is basically the thing The thing is a formless entity that can reanimate people and basically infect them, turn them into monsters, essentially, right? This is a form of organic resin coming straight from the dimension. In the Void movie, a lot of people are mutated and turned into creatures like this. I believe that the thing is an organic resin that represents the essence of the Void, but made organic. And then it was captured by an alien craft and crash landed on Earth. They need a way to come to planets with biological life, as we've seen in these horror movies. Sometimes an alien spacecraft or some kind of higher life form takes them there by accident. Another example of this is the black goo, the pathogen from Alien. I believe the pathogen is also an organic resin coming from the Void, just a different form of it that interacts differently with our environment, with its world. The engineers got a hold of it and used it for their experimentation. I believe because the Void is multiversal, it's a space between worlds, between timelines, between universes. I believe that these organic resins escaped into different timelines, taking on different forms as they interacted with their environments. That's why one comes off like this black goo, and the other one is just this formless creature that just goes through reanimation, spreads like a virus. But they both do similar things. One reanimates and mutates to some deadly form. The other one rapidly accelerates evolution to the point of crazy mutation as well. You're probably wondering, how do these things escape from the Void? There are things called thinnies. Thinnies are small little gateways that could open up within the Torah space. Weak areas that can be opened up due to our actions, where we cause an interdimensional rift with our technology, or the creatures are just able to break out of these thinnies themselves. So Pennywise, Cloverfield, the Stranger Things creatures in the Mist all came either as a result of humans trying to breach another portal to another reality, or in Pennywise's example, he just came around his own. I don't exactly remember how. And then you have those who can fight back, those that have a specific ability, the Shine. I believe Carrie, the dude from The Shining, 11, I believe they all have the Shining. Shining can take the form of precognition, telepathy, and telekinesis. All these guys have it to some degree. Frickin' the chick from Carrie has the same powers that 11 does, right? They all have been given gifts via the Macroverse, via the turtle maybe, I don't know. And then you have the gods. This is where shit gets crazy. The gods are the higher level beings that exist in this realm, the Void. Now, they could exist in the hierarchy, we don't know. But as far as we know from all these horror franchises, there are 3 to 4. First of all, I want to get you through the hierarchy here. Gods are first. There might be one being ahead of them, but we have the realm in the realm of the Void. We have gods, servants, energy-based demons like it, monsters, just your creatures like Cloverfield or even the smaller ones, formless organic parasites like the pathogen and the thing, and then you have the humans with the Shine that are supposed to combat them. So our first god is the Mind Flayer in Stranger Things. He is the puppet master behind everything. He interacts, changes, mutates flesh, has Vecna as his high priest, and fights against 11 and tries to take over the earth. All these beings, all these gods have the same goal in common, alright? Then you have this pyramid god in the Void, this entity that could be the god, an entity that the scientists wanted to interact with here. We don't know, but I'm willing to bet he is, because in the Hellraiser universe, we also have this object, this geometric object that's like God, Leviathan, who is basically the lord to the Hell Priests. You could say, because physics works differently in the Void, you could say that maybe he is also the same being as this, and maybe humans that entered the Void in the movie saw this shape, whereas humans that enter the labyrinth see it in reverse and see a diamond and said, I don't know, who knows? But whether they're the same or not, they're 3 gods that share similar qualities, okay? Now you could say maybe it's the same god in universe, but he takes a different shape for every timeline he's in. Perhaps. I like to believe that there are 3 gods. Each god owns a piece of the Void that because they have reality altering beliefs, they alter the way the Void looks, their piece of real estate. They have like a silent deal that within the multiverse, they have a piece of the Void that they alter to their own needs. They have their own rituals, their own servants and priests, their own attack plans, but ultimately they have the same goal: to take over our realm and to plunge it into the Void. You notice how all these dimensions we've seen them, they're all similar in that they seem to be like a reflective reality of ours. They're like a reverse of ours. The Stranger Things dimension is called the Upside Down. All of them share a similar landscape to ours, but it's dark, misty, cloudy. It's devoid of life. Now, are there only 3 gods? Maybe, that we know of. But there might be another horror movie that we can add to this list called Prince of Darkness, another John Carpenter film connected to the Thing. In this, we have another priest or servant of the god, Satan. This green liquid is the form of Satan that was set down here on Earth. It escapes, and Satan tries to again breach another dimension and bring here the anti-god. The anti-god is basically exists in this antimatter realm, which is opposite to our realm. Again, a mirrored dimension to ours. It's literally the dimensions opened by Satan through mirrors, for example. So this anti-god could be another god within that realm. Or he could be the ruler of the void itself. He could be what Azazoth is to the great old ones. I don't know. But regardless, all these gods want to replace our reality with this, the void. Not too dissimilar to to the Warhammer gods, the Chaos gods who want to plunge everything into the warp, for example. With this theory, I've successfully connected all these franchises, okay? Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, because remember, Pinhead almost had a crossover with Jason and Freddy, and there's a lot of theories that Freddy is a Cenobite, so I'm just going to put that out there. Friday the 13th, obviously, Alien and Predator, since Predator Badlands is connecting those two worlds together now, you got to put them in with the pathogen and all that. I don't know. I'm just saying, at least the Alien franchise can be connected because of the pathogen. It, The Mist, The Shining, they're all part of the same universe. John Carpenter's entire Apocalypse trilogy, Prince of Darkness, Into the Mouth of Madness, and The Thing. Event Horizon, because that also is another dimension with another servant with dilapidated flesh and mutations and hallucinations and all that shit. Stranger Things, Cloverfield, and any movie that's tied to the Cthulhu mythos. I've connected all these movies through the void. The void is a centerpiece for all evil. We don't know what's here. All we know is there are godlike beings that interact with our reality, that try to mutate it, that try to use servants to get to it, and plunge us into this abyss. It's terrifying. That's the truth, y'all. That's the truth. There might be various holes in my theory, but think about it. A god from another dimension mutates humans, has monsters that break into our world, creatures of all kinds, has a servant, at least one servant, that's dilapidated in nature with powers that help him puppeteer reality. And the god is formless in some regard. We see it as a shape of some kind, but we never know its true nature. But we do know its intentions and motivations. I believe it's all connected to the void, which is the Todash space in Stephen King's universe. That's my theory on that, okay? Let me know what you think. Goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.